I never believed in urban legends or the supernatural. Ghosts, demons, and monsters were the stuff of fiction, mere figments of human imagination. That was until I encountered the Goat Man. It was a warm, breezy evening in early autumn when my friends and I decided to go camping deep in the woods. We had heard the rumors about the Goat Man, a creature that was said to lurk in these very woods, but we brushed them off as the superstitious ramblings of locals. Armed with tents, sleeping bags, and a healthy supply of snacks and beer, we ventured into the heart of the forest. As we set up our campsite, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs sent shivers down my spine. My friends laughed it off, attributing my unease to the eerie ambience of the woods. We lit a campfire, and the warm glow seemed to dispel some of the darkness that clung to the forest. Hours passed, and the beer began to flow. Laughter filled the air as we swapped stories and indulged in roasted marshmallows. The wind howled through the trees, creating a symphony of whispers that seemed to grow louder and more sinister with each passing moment. That's when we heard it, a distant, eerie sound like the bleating of a goat, but distorted, almost human. My friends fell silent, their faces pale as they exchanged nervous glances. I tried to brush it off as a trick of the wind, but the unease in the air was palpable. "We should probably head back," one of my friends stammered. I agreed, eager to put some distance between us and the unsettling sound. We quickly extinguished the campfire, packed our belongings, and started on the trail back to civilization. But the forest had other plans. The path we had taken earlier seemed to have disappeared, replaced by a maze of twisted trees and thorny underbrush. Panic started to set in as we realized we were lost. "We just need to find our way back to the trail," I reassured my friends, trying to sound more confident than I felt. As we stumbled through the dark woods, the goat-like cries grew louder and closer, echoing all around us. It was as if the creature was toying with us, leading us deeper into the labyrinth of trees. We quickened our pace, desperate to escape the relentless pursuit of the unseen presence. Then, I saw it. It was a figure in the shadows, a grotesque amalgamation of man and goat. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly malevolence, and its body seemed to shift and contort, never revealing its true form. It let out another horrifying cry, and I could see its gnarled, clawed hands reaching out for us. "Run!" I screamed, and we sprinted through the woods, fueled by pure terror. The Goat Man pursued us relentlessly, its cries growing louder and more taunting. It seemed to be everywhere, closing in on us from all sides. My heart pounded in my chest as we stumbled through the darkness, branches scratching at our skin and roots threatening to trip us. The forest had become a nightmarish maze. As we ran, I could hear my friends panting and sobbing, their terror mirroring my own. We were on the brink of exhaustion, and I knew that if we didn't find a way out soon, the Goat Man would catch us. Then, just when it seemed all hope was lost, we burst through the thick underbrush and stumbled onto a familiar trail. We didn't stop running until we reached the safety of our car, parked on the edge of the forest. We drove away from that accursed place, our minds reeling from the nightmarish encounter. None of us spoke for a long time, the memory of the Goatman's eerie cries haunting us like a lingering nightmare. I can never forget that night, the night I learned that some legends are rooted in terrifying truths. The Goat Man, a creature I had dismissed as pure fiction, had shown me that the line between reality and the supernatural is thinner than we dared to imagine. And as I lay in my bed that night, haunted by the memory of those glowing, malevolent eyes, I couldn't help but wonder what other horrors lurked in the shadows, waiting to be discovered by those unfortunate enough to venture into the unknown. The wind howled through the barren trees as I trudged through the darkness towards the old farmstead. I had heard the stories, the whispered legends of the Goat Man that haunted these desolate lands, but I never truly believed them until that fateful night. The farm had been abandoned for years, and its isolation had drawn me like a moth to a flame. I had always been drawn to the macabre, the unexplained, and something about this place called out to me. It was as if the land itself was beckoning me closer, tempting me to uncover its secrets. I had parked my car at the edge of the property, not wanting to risk getting it stuck in the muck that passed for a driveway. My flashlight cut through the darkness, illuminating the path before me. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. As I approached the barn, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I tried to brush it off as my imagination running wild, but the sensation grew stronger with every step. My heart pounded in my chest, and I had to remind myself to breathe. The barn itself was a looming, hulking mass of wood and decay. Its once red paint had long since faded, replaced by peeling layers of gray and green. The door hung partially ajar, creaking in the wind, inviting me to enter. With trembling hands, I pushed the door open further and stepped inside. The air was thick with the musty scent of hay and something more sinister, something that made my skin crawl. My flashlight revealed a scene of disarray. Broken tools and scattered hay bales littered the floor. It looked as though someone or something had torn through the place in a frenzy. I ventured further into the barn, the beams overhead groaning with each step. My light fell upon a crude drawing on the wall, a disturbing depiction of a creature with the body of a man and the head of a goat. Its eyes seemed to follow me, filled with an otherworldly malevolence. That's when I heard it. It was a low, guttural sound, like a distorted bleat echoing through the darkness. My heart raced, and I spun around, my flashlight searching for the source of the noise. There, in the far corner of the barn, I saw something. Something human-like. It stood on two legs, its fur matted and filthy. Its eyes were yellow, piercing through the shadows, and its horns curled grotesquely from its head. A twisted, mocking smile stretched across its face. The creature's hands were clawed, its fingers ending in gnarled, sharp points. I froze, terror coursing through my veins. I couldn't move, couldn't even scream. The figure took a step closer, its hooves clicking on the wooden floor. It seemed to relish my fear, savoring it like a fine wine. The creature spoke, its voice was like a sickening blend of human and animal. It hissed, its breath was fetid and hot. I finally found my voice, stammering, "What? What are you?" The creature's grin widened, revealing more of its gruesome teeth. I realized it was the creature from the folklore, the Goat Man. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, I turned and bolted for the door, my heart pounding in my chest. The Goatman's laughter echoed in my ears as it was chasing me. I could hear its hooves thundering behind me, getting closer with each step. I burst out of the barn and into the moonlit night, my flashlight barely illuminating the path before me. I didn't dare look back, didn't want to see the monstrosity that pursued me. I could feel its hot breath on my neck, hear its distorted voice whispering. I stumbled and fell to the ground, gasping for air. The Goat Man was upon me, its clawed hand closing around my ankle. I kicked and thrashed, desperate to break free, but its grip was iron. It leaned down, its fetid breath washing over me, and its sinister grin inches from my face. It made a screeching noise, and then it was gone, vanishing into the darkness as if it had never been. I lay there, trembling and gasping for breath, my mind unable to comprehend the horrors I had just witnessed. I knew then that the legends were true, that the Goat Man was real, and that this farm held secrets darker than I could ever have imagined. With great effort, I pulled myself to my feet and staggered back to my car. I drove away from that accursed place as fast as my trembling hands would allow, vowing never to return.